Welcome to Life in the 1900s newspapers, where I read old vintage newspapers to you. So come with me back in time to the 1940s, a decade that was known for World War II and the pinups. Stay tuned to the end of this video. You'll see some models for pinups and the artist version of the pinup. I will be reading articles from several 1944 newspapers from Britain. Let's start with an article about heroism in the Scottish Daily Express. Human link in steerage saved vessel. 20-year-old stoker James Cannon, who was a lorry driver in Balerno, Middle Thian, before the war, acted as a rudder for his vessel when it was rolling through rough seas to Normandy. But for his daring action, the vessel might never have reached the coast. It was a fully loaded barge with a crew of 7. Soon after they left port, the starboard steering wire broke. The rudder swung to port, and the barge behaved wildly. Stoker Cannon went to repair the break and managed to get the ends of the wire together. But in the darkness, it was impossible to repair the gear. The only thing to be done was to keep the wire ends together, and Stoker Cannon did just that. For more than 2 hours, during the darkness, he acted as a human link in the gear. In a cramped and dangerous position, he kept the 2 ends in his hands, despite the terrific strain on his wrists and arms. At daybreak, the vessel had lost her convoy, but she was still heading for Normandy. Then Stoker Cannon repaired the steering gear, and the barge delivered her cargo as planned.
Now try and duck this one, you duck. Hail Hitler! Haben Sie geschieden? Hossiden! Eingestochen, alle zusammengestunken. Hitler geschlückelt rüber. Ach du lieber, mein Herr, mein Pumpkin, mein Wild, mein heiliger
Hitler's world. People tend to regard the suggestion that Hitler, in the last resort, will retire to the Bavarian Alps and fight on to the last. I think this is absurd. The actions of this neurotic cannot be judged by normal standards. Reports reaching London say that Hitler lives in a world of fantasy and exultation. For long hours each day, he has Wagner played to him. He sees himself as Siegfried. The spear of the treacherous Hagen has not killed him yet. When his enemies close in on him, he will retire to his mountain fastness with his picked SS bodyguard. When no further resistance is possible, I predict he will blow himself up. In flames must Siegfried perish, and the twilight of the German gods come about. Fantasy? We shall see. In 1944, Britain could hear the German news agency. Berlin produces murder story. The official German news agency yesterday alleged that 6 German prisoners had been killed by troops of the U.S. 91st Infantry Division in Italy. Quoting a German soldier, Lance Corporal Werner Teit, the agency said, "On July 5th this year, a group of 7 German soldiers, including 1 officer, were surrounded and surrendered to U.S. troops. 6 of them were killed in a stable." Teit, who claimed to have been one of the captured men, said that the prisoners were killed with rifles and hand grenades. He said that he was only wounded and escaped during the night. Always ready to serve. Who deserves to be best fed today? Correct. That is where Heinz Foods are going. But shoppers can still get some Heinz sometimes. Though there's not the same choice, you can always be sure that within the limits imposed by the war, the goodness that made Heinz famous will be maintained. Heinz 57 varieties. With all the rationing and shortages, it was real tempting for some to steal. Rail workers stole forces' fags. Thousands of cigarettes, matches, chocolates, sweets, crockery, soap, boots and shoes, pajamas, sheets and satins were among the goods stacked on tables in the room in Bakewell, Derbyshire yesterday. But they were not for sale. They were evidence in the courtroom, enough to send 6 railway workers to prison and get 4 others fined. The goods, said the police, were stolen from Rowsley LMS sidings while being sent from the south to Manchester. Special padlocks had been placed on the vans in addition to the ordinary locks, but even these failed to stop the theft. The losses had reached enormous proportions, and a nasty feature of the case was that tons of girl to go to waste. Butter, steaks, full-course meals, the open-air life, and no worries had put at least £10 per live whack at Washington. 1,700 of them have been told they are going overseas, and they have been given till the month end to shed the excess and get the streamline on their uniform. That's 17,000 pounds, 7 tons of sheer girl that's got to be got rid of in 21 days. Here's a letter to the editor. That lipstick. Last week, there was an article about whether women should wear lipstick to church. Here's an answer. Imagine that we girls who go to church are going to leave off our lipstick because we don't happen to have been wearing it when we were born. In that case, why didn't they suggest that all Christians go to church without their clothes? I agree that lipstick on a chalice is not nice, but in my opinion, the rest of the letter is a sad case of sour grapes. Surely the writer must realize that God is not deceived by our outward appearance because He has the power to know us as we really are. I guess these newspapers and photos really get to the point, if you know what I mean. Now it's time for the pinups I promised. Feel free to comment below of what you think about my videos. And I'd love it if you subscribed. Thank you so much for watching.